I'm going to have time to explain every book. Later on, we can just cut it down, right? Yeah. Hey guys, it's John. Today, I'm taking some time to walk you through 5 of the most life-changing books that I've read. So let me give you a little insight into how I've built this list and why I'm even talking about this in the first place. So anybody that knows me knows that I have become huge on learning through books because somebody sat down, took the time to write out this long, 200, 300 page thing filled with knowledge they felt they needed to share and then give it to the public. So there's some pretty important stuff that you can learn from these. I think that although there are other ways of getting this content boiled down, it's important for you to read through the book just in case there are things that don't hit the person that boiled down the content that do hit you, if that makes sense. So I have this list. I built it over 2 years. In my last job before real estate, I was working at an IT company and I was managing 5 different Keller Williams buildings. So I would work with these very, very successful agents all day, whether it was working on, little servers that they had or their personal computers. And I got to talk to a lot of them. And I came up with this one question that I really, really liked asking, which was, if you were my age, I was, I think, 21 at the time, what book do you wish you would have read? And that would really get them thinking, and I came up with a really cool list. Here it is. So today we're going to go through my 5 top favorite books of this list. All right, so number 1 on this long list, the first book that pops to mind and started the whole journey is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill, he is a very old author. He wrote a lot of books, but this was his magnum opus, in my opinion. Now, it's a little bit of a rough read. Think and Grow Rich goes into the mindset that you should have in order to attract the level of wealth that you want. You would be so surprised how much mindset matters in anything that you're doing. Definitely, if you read one book from this list, make sure it's that one. Number 2 is going to be Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's one that you've probably heard a lot. If you have not yet read it after hearing it that many times, what are you doing? You've heard this book a lot. If you have not yet read it, you need to go ahead and do that. So Robert Kiyosaki grew up with, air quotes, 2 dads, 2 father figures. One had a 9-to-5, the other worked for himself and had multiple companies. And in this book, he observes the differences and things that he had learned from those 2 dads. He's a very successful man now. He took a lot of what he learned from those guys, a lifetime of knowledge, and distilled it into this one book. It's very cheap. The audiobook is actually free on Spotify, so you have no excuse to not read that book. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, if I had to boil it down to 2 words, goes into financial literacy. Moving on. All right, number 3, this is also a favorite, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. So this book has a lot of fluff in it. It has a few things that are just common sense, but still, it's worth reading simply because there are some things that I have read in that book that I use every single day when talking to people. It is literally cheat codes. I'm not going to say that. This book is cheat codes for social interaction. All right, burning through this list, we're almost done. Number 4 is going to be Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff. This guy raised money for a living, flying around in jets. Companies would hire him to raise millions and millions of dollars, and he talks about a lot of psychological things that go into any interaction, whether it's face-to-face or in a big meeting. It goes into ways to have confidence, ways to exude confidence, and it's very important no matter what you're doing for work. Number 5, this was recommended to me by a realtor in the Keller Williams by the Galleria Mall. I'm so sorry, I forgot your name, but this book has been terrific for me, and I thank you for recommending it to me. This is Never Split the Difference by Voss. I don't care what you're doing for work. If you're not in sales, you still use social interaction to some degree. Everything that you do is a negotiation, right? So this guy, Chris Voss, used to work for the FBI, and he would negotiate with terrorists. And he, in his job, cannot go 50-50. If there are terrorists, holding some people hostage, he can't go in and say, well, why don't you only kill half the hostages, and then, you turn yourself in, right? It has to be, you give up everything that you've worked so hard for today, and you turn yourself in without harming anybody. These tactics he puts in this book and just gives it away. And it's just sitting on shelves in America. And I truly think that everybody should go read that book. All of these are huge cheat codes. I have a whole, and this was just 5 out of a list of probably 15 that I have, but those 5 have been life changers. So go out, buy the book, buy the audio book if you don't have time to read, and take the time to increase your education so you can increase your wealth. Thank you. What's it saying?
It has a little battery with a line through it.
Oh yeah, I have a little bit of time left.
Okay, cool.